Hey guys, so here's the follow-up video. In this one, I'll show you some more advanced techniques to do what we did in the last video. The reason being is that if what you saw seems too tedious, then these steps might be easier or quicker for you to do. So I'm going to just make a new document. And in this one, I'm going to do a very basic arithmetic sequence just to illustrate the functions that I'm doing and rather than the actual points that are collected. So again, we want A to be equal to N. So the A column to be equal to N. So we're going to do double N. Now, here's this like line that we sort of just skipped over last time. What we can actually do is select the A1, go to menu, and then hit 3, 1. So data, generate sequence. And then what we're going to do from there is we're just going to type in what sequence we want. Now for this one, we don't want any particular sequence. We just want n itself. And look, it gives us a minimum and maximum window. I just want to go from 1, I don't know, to 10. Why not? And I want the end step to be 1. So it's right now what we're typing is that we want n and we want it from 1 to 10. And that's it. And look at that. That's what it gives us. N from 1 to 10. How easy is that? That's personally I think that's way easier than the other way, but if you think it's easier to just do things Google Sheets style, like we did in the last one, like now our enter your sequence for a event, or for n you would just do 1 and then you would do equals a1 plus 1. But I don't think we need to do that. I think we're good. I think this way is just a little bit faster, but take a look. When you click on it itself, look what you get. You get almost the exact thing that Mr. Miller typed in class on the TI-84. It's that exact. He did like sequence and then parentheses and then n was the sequence, n was the variable, and then c from 1 to 10. That's the start and the end point. And that would be the initial term, and that's the step size. That's pretty much everything he did in that on the TI-84, except we did it automatically. How cool is that? I think the Nspire is just doing everything way easier than the 84, and that's the point. Now, could we have typed this out by hand like he did on the Nspire? Sure, we could have. We would just have to find the sequence generator button, click it, and then enter all that stuff manually, but that's so tedious. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to do A of n. I'm going to make up a generic arithmetic sequence for you guys just as an example, and we're going to try it out. So see, now we have a u of n for column B. So column B, we're going to have, let's see, how about 4 times n plus 1? And it knows PEMDAS, so we don't have to worry about parentheses. And we do want to go from 1 to 10, just like we did before. Why not? And the end step is going to be 1. Okay. And look at that. Just like that, our sequence is done. And we didn't even have to drag it down or anything like in the last video. Now, it is useful to use the drag feature for some things, but in this case, we didn't even need to do it. So how great is that? Now, the third column, the series. This one is where you might want to use both methods. So maybe it's easier for you to do the sequence generator for these two columns, but then it's easier for you to do the Google Slide method for this series column. Personally, I think it is easier to use the Google Slides for the series. The first two, though, you can definitely use the sequence generator. I think it's much easier, personally. But yeah, so for the series, like we did before, the first one would be equal to itself, and then the second one is where you start adding, is equal to C1, which is that 5 above it, plus the B2, which is the current AN value, and you would get 14. And then you would control center and then drag down, and there you go, and you'd have it all done, which is perfectly fine. Nothing wrong with that. But if you want to do it automatically, like we've been doing everything automatically, all you have to do is recall that there is a general equation for the sum of arithmetic but also geometric sequences. And that general equation for arithmetic, which is what we're dealing with right now, is n times the initial n value. So when n equals, or not the initial n value, but the initial a of n value. So when n equals 1, what does a of n equal? In this case, it's 5. Plus the generic equation. So 4 times n plus 1. Close parentheses. Again, it knows PEMDAS, so it doesn't really matter how you do it. And I'm just going to put a parentheses around the whole thing, because then the last thing you have to do is just divide by 2. Now, the way that this is derived, you can look it up yourself. I really don't care. All I know is that that's the equation. Yeah, in class, we also found that the sum of geometric series is, I think it was AR up to the n minus 1. So that's useful to know when you're doing this, but honestly, this is how you do it with the sequence generator, but Google Sheets might be a little easier for the series in particular. But as you can see, it generates our series just like we wanted. And if you look in the sequence generator, it did our equation from 1 to 10, and everything's the same. And look, we literally did what we did in the last video with a different function, of course, but we did the exact same things just using the sequence generator. And if we want to do what we did in the last video with the decimal approximation, you can use the sequence generator. You can take what you did in C. I'm going to copy it, paste it. Okay. And I'm just going to edit it just a little bit of tweaking. Because I'm going to multiply everything by 1.0. Now, it seems kind of stupid, right? Like, why would I do that? But, see, now we have the decimals. Now, for this function in particular, it doesn't matter to have the decimal approximation because there are no fractions, so we don't need it. But, say like the function we had last time, the 1 over 2 to the n, we would need that. We might need to see what the actual integer value is. So, yeah, that's how you do that with a sequence generator. Of course, here's another way you can use the equals column, this like useful column. We can actually just take that out real quick. And what we might want to do is just say this row, or this row equals C times 1.0. And we get the same thing. Because now we're taking this entire C column and just multiplying it by 1.0. And that's another way to get the decimal approximation. And look, we didn't use the drag feature even once. I think, personally, on the computer, it's really, like what I'm doing right now with this emulator, it's really easy to drag, but on the Nspire handheld device, it's kind of difficult to drag all the way down sometimes. So you might find that the sequence generator takes you much less time than the manual Google Sheets style. But I just wanted to show you this alternative way of doing it so that you don't feel confined to just the Google Sheets way. So if you find this easier, that's really great. If you don't, then you can always just do it the way I showed you in the last video. All right, I hope this helped. Enjoy your Nspire.